Jackson on the drive, kicks it out for man. Man, three-pointer, bang! Oh, what a man!
Magic down the middle, just what I thought. A hook shot at 12, good!
Here's Michael at the foul line, a shot on Elo,
Good! The Bulls win! They win it!
Now there's a steal by Bird. Underneath the DJ, lays it in.
Going up over Bell, ball away. Yes! Yes! At the buzzer, he does it! Was there ever a doubt? A Smith screen. Posey will defend. Oh! LeBron James with no regard for human life.
It's a physical game. Oh, man, oh, God. A monster jam by Blake Griffin.
What's going on, guys? Welcome to another crossover episode from your favorite coast-to-coast duo, Dime Dropper and Fabian Perspect TV. You might recognize us from many off-season episodes, but mainly best known for probably our What Went Wrong with the Melo Era Knicks series. Fabian Perspect TV is joining me to talk all 30 NBA teams through 10 games. Yes, all 30. Some will be longer, some will be very short. So if your team is on the short end of the stick, sorry, make your team more interesting somehow. Fabian, how we doing?
Dime Dropper was good. I promise you it'll be shorter than what you guys expect. First of all, it's Fabian Perspective TV. It's my perspective, so expect it and accept it. Ain't no way I'm gonna go through 30 NBA teams and with more than 10 seconds for you guys. You got minute man potential. Some of you guys, who are we talking about for a minute long? What guys?
Well,
look, all 30 teams. Sheesh. Thank you, Rob. Appreciate it, Rob.
hey, I'm gonna also say this though. Clippers and Lakers not gonna be that long. So if you're a Clipper Laker fan, you want to hear me talk more about them. I do my content on them every single week, so not gonna be much said about that. But let's start it out right away. By the way, before we get started, make sure to subscribe to both of our YouTube channels, Fabian Perspective Clips. Right, that's the name of it.
No, it's Fabian Perspective TV.
Oh, Fabian Perspective TV,
Yeah,
and then obviously Dime Dropper.
Yes.
Huh?
I'm sorry. I chopped the clips off. It did say clips on there, but now it's Fabian Perspective TV. With we see us we're doing new things. You see the background, the green monster. Come on, baby. Don, what's going on, man? You want to get past the Clippers and Lakers real quick, or how you want to? You're better at this than me.
Let's just start with some teams that we don't want to spend too much time on. The Charlotte Hornets are the first one. I said I've watched 3 of their games, man. They're just as bad as I thought they'd be. They had some impressive wins though, including at Atlanta. They're 3-9 right now. I had them finishing 14th. They're in dead last in the East. Anything to say about them, or let's just throw them in the trash? No offense to any Hornets fans. I don't even know if I've ever met one in my life.
No, I don't even think Ball is playing, right?
He's not. That's why I said they were going to be so ass. But
Yeah. And
all right,
shout out to Dennis Smith Jr. though for getting some playing time and showing he can still be in the league.
big shout. I was going to say that as well. The Wizards, I said they were going to finish 11th. They're doing about as expected right now, I'd say. Right now they sit with a 6-6 record, so not bad. Kyle Kuzma continuing to improve, doing some good things. I think Kristaps Porzingis in the games that I've watched, I think I've only watched 1 or 2 though, has been pretty good. 19 points a game, 8 rebounds, and Bradley Beal still averaging 21 points, but this is a mid team. You got anything to say about them?
No, but they are beating the Mavericks.
Oh, and Kristaps Porzingis is shooting 48% from the field, so not bad.
Yeah, and he's playing
They
better.
know they beat the Mavericks. They beat the Mavericks tonight. So the day we're recording this, Thursday, November 10th, they beat the Mavericks. That's a really good win for them. And they did it without Bradley Beal, who's out right now.
Yeah, but do you really expect Bradley Beal's another guy, one of these 2 guards that I don't want to say like Zach LaVine at his best, Bradley Beal at their best. Are they really you know what I mean?
No, yeah, definitely. I don't
What
think
is he gonna do? Bradley Beal's back. What's gonna happen with the Wizards?
Yeah, let's be about the same. I want to give a shout out to Kyle Kuzma, 36 points, 11 rebounds tonight. Rui Hachimura, 23 points and 8 boards, probably his best game of the season. And a nice double-double off the bench from Daniel Gafford, 11 and 10. So the one thing I liked about this Wizards team is they have some good players off the bench, but I still see them finishing around that 11 spot. Right now they're at 500, so doing a little better than the 11 spot. But things are subject to change. I also want to say, take all these things with a grain of salt. It's still really early in the season, but it's the first 10 games. I wanted to say something before I go to Qatar. Let's move on, though, to the Detroit Pistons, a team that's pretty exciting. I think Cade Cunningham is really impressive. I really think you talked about it earlier with me on the phone. His mid-range, he's really good in the pick and roll. I've seen some good stuff from Jaden Ivey, Duran, Any thoughts on them real quick?
Just I like Cade. The fact that he's still maintaining himself. I do want to say about Cade Cunningham, and when we get to the Magic, we're not going to spend too much time on them. I think you can tell the difference between talented guys. Like Banchero he came into the league. He looks like he was made to play in the league at he was 10 years old. But there's a difference between that, Larry Bird, Michael Jordan, Magic Johnson, maybe Magic. He came to a great team. LeBron. These guys can just turn a team around at rookie season. And I don't think Banchero or Cade Cunningham is quite that, but they are talented. Like come on, who wouldn't want them after seeing what we've seen the last year and the first month for Banchero? Paolo.
Might as well transition over. By the way, Cade averaging 26 and 6 right now, so pretty solid. You can see the improvement already. The Pistons are 3-9 though right now, and I said they were going to finish in the 12th spot, and that's because I could have put them 13th, but I was a little generous there. Right now they're sitting at 3-9. It's a young team, but let's go to the Magic, another young team. I had them finishing 14th. It's been the guy you've just been talking about, the front runner for Rookie of the Year right now, Paolo Banchero. He has been amazing, showing a better jump shot than I expected off the bat and just a better bag than I expected. He's been amazing. They're 3-9, but he's averaging 23.5 points a game to go along with 8 rebounds and 3.6 assists on 46% from the field. What are your thoughts on him so far, early impressions?
From preseason in the summer league games, you can tell he was made to play in the league. He's showing that. The bag, like you said, he has a good handle. He's a lot like Jason Tatum, where you forget they're 6'10". And they play like they're 6'6", 6'5", and they'll just explode on you.
Paolo Banchero seems to have a little more explosive, like strength though than Tatum, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, of course, but
yeah,
just the way they're able to look smaller, and they're 6'10", they're gonna just can't wait to see him for the next couple of years.
Yeah, and then let's go to the Chicago Bulls, the team I had finishing in the 9th spot. I mean, there's really not much to say about them. Lonzo Ball obviously out for the foreseeable future. The thing about the Bulls is, DeRozan, I don't think he's going to have as good of a season as he did last year, but he's still doing his thing, averaging 25 points a game or 24.5 points a game. My concern with them is Zach LaVine. He's missed a couple games already this season. It seems like he's being load managed. How bad is that knee really? He's averaging 22 points a game. His points per game average is dropping these last 2 years, and just getting DeRozan on the team is not an excuse for that. I mean, he's been an all-star the last 2 years. And when your PPG is dropping at age 27, when you're supposed to be hitting your prime, it's a little concerning for me. Right now, the Bulls are about where I expected, 6-7. But what are your thoughts on Zach LaVine?
Same thing. We've always had, again, another guy in the Bradley Beal. Who else did we just mention before?
No, that was only those 2 years.
Yeah, Zach LaVine and Bradley Beal. Just, I don't expect much. It's like they're so explosive. What could they really do? And even him fully healthy, I don't know if he could have elevated the team.
We've seen Beal in his prime, though. We haven't just necessarily seen LaVine in his prime, and it's just kind of sucks. I mean, are we going to see him ever get better than what he was? He's averaging 22 points per game, and he's only shooting 43.6% from the field. I mean, 40% from three, so his true shooting percentage is like 57, which I'm not too familiar with true shooting and what's good or bad, but 43.6%, he's got to be shooting better from two than that, I think. It's just, in today's NBA, that's pretty inefficient. Although, again, 40% from three makes me think that it's because he's shooting a lot of threes. Any last words on the Bulls? I just think they're going to be mediocre, and we'll keep a tab on LaVine.
Would you trade, if you were the Lakers, would you trade Westbrook for LaVine and DeMar DeRozan? Would that make a difference?
First of all, of course I would, but why would the Bulls do that? First of all, the salaries don't even match up there, but
the salaries, I thought it would. DeRozan makes it a couple 30-something million, and Zach, or maybe not. But I would think that's why it was the salary. Yeah, so maybe not. Maybe the Lakers can't do it either.
Lakers, I guess. I mean, let's go to the Toronto Raptors. I really don't have much to say about the Raptors. They're doing exactly how I expected. They're a good team. I will say this, though. Pascal Siakam, before he got hurt, he looked like he's taken another leap in his game, man. He's been amazing. I've watched 3 or 4 of their games. His post game has gone better. He's really taken smaller guys right to the block. Nice turnarounds. His one-on-one game has really improved, and I just think the game is slowing down for him. Precious Achiuwa has shown some great things, but now he's injured. It's going to be a rough couple of weeks for the Raptors until those guys come back. They started the season pretty well. OG Anunoby is getting like 3 or 4 steals a game. Like, I want to see if he's leading the league in steals. Yeah, he is. 3.1 steals per game, and the second highest is Fred VanVleet right behind him with 2.3. Any thoughts on the Raptors so far?
Oh, I thought DeJounte Murray would have been second behind them. The rookie kid Koloko, he's been impressive.
Yeah, from Arizona. I liked him.
And Toronto is just this team that they're long. They usually lead the league in deflections. So they play this style of play that just interferes with they're always in the passing lanes. But their number one struggle has and always will be the half-court offense. That's why when Kawhi got there, it was like the perfect match. Like, imagine the Kevin Durant trade. I doubt they would trade him now, but that's who they need. They need someone in the half-court who can explode because, like you said, Siakam got better. He's more comfortable with himself, but he's still not the almighty mid-range guy like a Kawhi and Kevin Durant who can supplant you and give you good points or solid points at the end of the game.
I just want to say about the Raptors too. They got Fred VanVleet shooting a higher percentage of three than from the field. He's shooting 41% from three. 41% from the field, 42 from three. OG Anunoby's shooting 40% from deep, and Chris Boucher is shooting 41%. So they got some good three-point shooters so far this season. Siakam's averaging 25. Wow, these are insane stats, by the way. 25 points, 9 rebounds, and 8 assists. Those are LeBron numbers in the 2000s right there. Or LeBron numbers, period.
Yeah, but they're not. I'm not impressed by that. We always bring up the pace, right? And the more.
Well, yes, we bring up the inflated stats thing, but man, Siakam, this is improvement for him though. You got to give him that. Raptors are 7-5 right now, so off to a pretty solid start. It's about what I expected from them. Now let's move on to, I guess let's go to them right now. I don't want to say anything about the Clippers, honestly. Like, I just do too much content on them. It's obviously been it was a shaky start. Paul George has started getting into his groove. Kawhi Leonard's not playing. I talk about him all the time. Locked on Clippers and Dime Dropper, home for the Clippers. How about this? I'll give you a little chance to say something on the Clippers because I always talk about them. What about from an outsider perspective?
The Zoo block party.
Yeah,
that's been amazing. He's always been good, and I like the Hartenstein on the Knicks. You told me about him before he came here. I like Hartenstein. And with Zubac is just that. Like, he's been impressive. He's holding them down defensively. But I think their biggest issue is going to be the Paul George leap. If he can actually make it. I still think that confidence is still shaky. And even as a fan, like I just want to witness greatness at the end of the day. Even as a fan, LeBron struggled with it. Dirk struggled with it. And nobody talks about Dirk Nowitzki. He struggled with his confidence early, and he lacked the heart. That before that Miami championship series, we finally beat the Heat the second time around, he really didn't get over that hump. Steven Jackson punked him. Miami Heat punked him the first time. Chris Webber never got over that hump. Nick Anderson never got over that hump. There's a lot of players. This is a real thing. So for Paul George, that's the only thing I want to see is pressure cooker, third round. Can you carry the team? All right, Kawhi's not going to be here. Play like Kawhi's not going to be here, and you know it. And I think he's kind of done that the first couple games in the season. He's started off shaky, but now that fadeaway to win the game, the comeback against the Cavaliers, big time.
Definitely big time. Although I hope we don't have to see Paul George be tested like that in the playoffs because I would hope Kawhi Leonard is back by then. By the way, thank you so much, Phoenix Play Z. I really appreciate the super chat. Super chats are turned on if you want to drop $1 or a dime. We really appreciate it. And no, we have not touched on SGA's leap. They're coming up, by the way. So, stay tuned. But let's briefly talk about, honestly, we'll give them a little bit more of a spotlight. So let's go to the Spurs real quick. They're a team that I picked to finish last in the conference, and in typical San Antonio Spurs fashion, they just continue to play good basketball and make teams work for wins. I watched them play against the Clippers. I watched them play 2 games against the Timberwolves. They played them 3 times, beat them twice, lost to them once. Keldon Johnson, you knew he was going to be the best player on the team so far, and they're 5-7 right now. But the guy that's really impressed me, Devin Vassell. He was on fire against the Clippers. Do you have any thoughts on the Spurs? Vassell's averaging 21 points a game right now. Keldon Johnson's averaging 23. And Keldon Johnson's shooting 45.5% from the field and 41% from deep. And Vassell's averaging 46% from the field and 45% from deep. And also Trey Jones is shooting 40% from deep. Josh Richardson's shooting 42.6% from deep. Doug McDermott's shooting 40% from three. And Zach Collins is shooting 39% from three. That is probably giving us some context as to why they're doing better than expected. Also, that Jeremy Sochan guy has impressed me a little bit, the rookie. Any thoughts on the Spurs real quick?
Keldon Johnson, I've liked him since last season. I was watching tape on him in the offseason. I told you about him. I'm a Knicks fan. You Knicks fans think that RJ Barrett is as good as Keldon Johnson. This guy could create his own shot, get to the basket whenever he wants, shoots from three. He's built like a horse.
He really is. They got that Desmond Bain build to him.
Yes. No. He has longer arms than Desmond Bain. He ain't got no Tyrannosaurus Rex arms like that. Don't disrespect Keldon Johnson like that. He can get to the basket whenever he wants. And Podol, you didn't talk about. Is that how you say his name? Podol, the 7-footer,
something like that.
Yeah. Everybody wants him because he's
12 and 10, averaging 12 and 10.
But he can switch a little bit, sneaky switchery on defense, and he's just smart. And again, we don't talk about it. Like, I know it's overrated to say or it's overspoken about with Bill Belichick in football. Greg Popovich and Bill Belichick, they're the same guy basically. In basketball, he's the Bill Belichick. He coaches that team up really well. They're playing towards the era. Popovich has been in how many eras, and he's customized his playing style, his coaching style to the eras. And how many people you said were over shooting three? How many players were shooting over 40%? 3 or 4 of them? More.
It was like 4 or 5, man.
It sounds like the Pacers. The Pacers have a fast same thing. They just once they recruit guys that fit the system. They don't. They would never have, no offense, the Kyrie Irvings or Kevin Durant in the world because they're just not. Draymond Green wouldn't fit. Maybe they would have one Draymond Green for like one season, but that's just, it's pop being pop, to be honest.
So let's move on to the Oklahoma City Thunder, a team that's been a little more surprising as well. They started out 0-3. They rattled off 4 wins in a row, 2 of them against my Clippers in Oklahoma City, won a comeback game at Dallas, and they've lost their last 4 games. They're probably starting to show signs of regression. Obviously, Chet Holmgren out for the season, but the main story, one of the major stories of not just the Oklahoma City Thunder, but the whole league right now, the progression of former Clipper Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. He has been insane. He's made leaps every year, but this is just another level. He's averaging 31.6 points per game, 4.5 boards, 5.6 assists, 2 steals, and a block and a half. He's shooting 54% from the field. His 3 ball's gotten better. His one-on-one game has been on another level. He's got counters to everything now. He just does a really good job with his footwork around the basket as well, finishing with both hands. It's looked like he's playing in slow motion right now. He has been insane. He's on his way to his first All-Star appearance if things hold up. It pains me a little bit as a Clipper fan to see him play this well. Like, it's insane. We traded an All-Star, but man, I didn't think he was going to leap like this so quick. Any thoughts on SGA?
I totally agree with Phoenix Play Z here. He's absolutely right. He's an All-NBA caliber player. Get him on a good team. Hey, Phoenix Play Z. Newsflash: OKC might be good. Like they how many talented guys they got on the team? Remember, Chet Holmgren is injured. They might not need to trade this guy to have. And then you have Josh Giddey. Josh Giddey, by the way, he's second year in the league. He looks pretty good still. Triple-double threat every night. But Shai Gilgeous is just strong. He gets to the basket whenever he wants. He's second behind Ja Morant, I think, for like perimeter players that go to the basket. Well, I think can score on driving baskets. I wanted the Knicks to get him. That step back 3 he hit that should have won the game against the Bucks without Giannis, without Middleton, without Drew Holiday was amazing. A step back 3 in overtime. He looked tired as hell. But like you said, what stands out, 53%. And he's slim. You can't shoot 53% and you're that slim. That's amazing. He stepped up his 3-point game, stepped up his shooting. There's not much else I could say. Defensively, that's his flaw. That's where he got to step it up a little bit. And he has done it, but it's only been 10 games.
He's not bad to me, though. He's never been bad to me.
It's not bad, but OKC being what? Are they 5-6?
4-7, and I think they're going to continue to drop as well.
Okay.
But let's go to another team right now that's actually bringing up the rear in the West, the Houston Rockets. I've actually watched this team play a couple times. They're just a lot of young players, and then there's Eric Gordon in there kind of taking away certain situations from their younger guys. I think Steven Silas is under a lot of heat because the Rockets just don't seem to have an identity. Kevin Porter's a talented player that's gotten better. Jalen Green's getting better, but he has too many inefficient shooting nights for me. He's got to be a little better about that. His jumper just seems very on and off. But Alperen Şengün, He's been an exciting player for them. He's a good post-up player, old school kind of big, but his defense in the pick and roll is a little questionable, slow-footed. I mean, they're a young team. It's going to be a rough season for them. They're in the Wemby sweepstakes as much as anyone. Anything to say about the Rockets?
No, they suck.
All right.
I don't even know how they like. How did you have the Spurs worse than them? I can't. That means you didn't watch the Spurs at all last year.
Well, I mean, I just looked at the top, and I thought Kevin Porter, Alperen Şengün, Jalen Green, Jabari. First of all, Jabari Smith, I should say something about him. Dude, he's just a chucker. He just shoots threes. I don't see any offensive, like he's just another one of these big guys that has, he's 6'11" and he can shoot threes. He just shoots threes. He has no other components to his game offensively. He can be like a Miles Turner type. Like that's his ceiling to me at this point, which is disappointing. I hope I'm wrong about him. He's a rookie. So I'm being harsh, actually. Let's not use that soundbite and try to frame me. I'm going to track that back a little bit. And he could be better, but so far it just looks like another Porzingis type.
And the Christian Wood trade was like for a draft pick. Everything else was just like I think lackluster players. I don't know what the Rockets are doing. Yeah, they're just horrible. I didn't expect them to be good.
Yeah, the comments are saying Jabari Smith looks sus. Not a bust, but looking sus, just saying. Phoenix Plays he says, in defense of dime, San Antonio Spurs look bottom tier in terms of talent. He's not lying, man. Keldon Johnson.
No way.
You think is Keldon Johnson better than Jalen Green and Kevin Porter? Probably.
Right now?
So, well, you're saying right now. I guess we know now that he is, but going into the season, I wouldn't have said that.
Yeah, I would have. He was good. Like he just
I know he was good.
Yeah, but I think he's like, it's tough because is it Popovich? Can we just say it's that system? Because again, I always say if Duncan didn't have Popovich, it's a whole different career, and we should be glad to see someone talented under Pop and at least look that good. And Popovich, who again, like I said, he's able to switch his coaching style. What would Keldon Johnson look like in New York with a suffocating style of coaching? Where he's just letting you figure it out on your own. He would be a talented dude that would be running around with his chicken like a chicken with his head cut off. You know what I mean? But under that system with San Antonio, we covered everything already. He gets to the basket and he's just solid. And he plays high IQ. That's what it is about Keldon Johnson that stands out. Not like Halliburton. Halliburton's a different, he's not as talented, I don't think. But I think Halliburton is a different IQ. But Keldon Johnson plays just smart. If you watch him play, he's not chucking.
That's true.
And so when you mentioned Jabari Smith, another guy, they're kind of like, I don't know what they're doing. I don't know what to think of them, but I know what to think of Keldon Johnson. This guy's going to be good.
Let's move on to the Memphis Grizzlies. I think that they're a team that returned almost all their players from last year. They don't have Kyle Anderson anymore. No DeAnthony Melton. Still Jaren Jackson Jr. is out, but they've started the season very well. I watched a couple of their games. They're the same team. They're 8-4 right now, which is first in their division. John Morant looks like he's just continuing to improve. He's averaging 29 points a game, 5.6 rebounds, and 7 assists. The thing about Ja is it's not like last season where, even though he's probably playing better this season, it's last season we just kind of had it was his breakout year. So people aren't really talking about him right now. But the Grizzlies are flowing under the radar. And right now, the guy that even more so has impressed me more than Ja, who I want to see where he is in scoring right now in the league. Ja Morant is... Wow, where is he? Oh, 8th in the league in scoring right now at 29 points a game. But the real surprise for me, not really a surprise, but Desmond Bane is averaging 25 points a game, 5 rebounds, and 5 assists. That is unbelievable. He's also shooting 46% from deep. 46% and 47% from the field. And his shots are not easy, man. Thoughts on the Grizz?
Ja Morant, I thought he would have taken a step back, or at least lingered a little bit after the injury. Like, we didn't know how bad the injury was in the playoffs for him to miss a game. He missed a game, right?
He missed several games.
Missed the end of the Golden State series.
Yes.
And just, I'll probably sound like I'm on repeat mode with everybody else and the mass media repeating the same thing. This is a lot like Allen Iverson. Like, when you watch Ja Morant, there's a lot of swag to him. You watch him play, you really can't take your eyes off of him. And the team, they're pushed through him. So I'm not surprised about their success. I'm surprised that he came back, and he's young, but I'm just glad to see him that he's able to bounce back from the injury. What do you think about Tyus? Is it Tyus Jones?
Yeah. He's a
What
good
do you think about
player.
him?
Solid backup. I'm not showing me anything new per se, but I want to hear something new. John Morant, 3-point percentage by year from start to finish. First year, 33.5. Second year, 30. Last year, 34.4. Right now,
45?
45.
45.
Wow. If that can keep up, then he's a whole different player. But I
He's
don't know. We'll see.
and Iverson didn't do that. Like the thing about if you watch Iverson, there's a lot to him that used to be very he was very intentional. He'll go to the baseline and everything. But Morant, same way. Who was
This
that?
is
What
a
happened?
This is a stupid comment. AI wasn't getting to the rim like that, though. Yeah, no shit. When you're playing in the 2000s with two big men sitting there, that's come on, man. Are you kidding?
No, but again, to his point, first of all, that's a lie. Because Iverson was faster than everyone.
That's
And
what I'm
when
saying. Well, imagine how much spacing he'd have to work with now. It's not even close what he's dealing with compared to
and
what
just
Ja has.
if
Ja's a free run to the rim
and
with
he
one
could
screen.
and he could dribble any way he wants to now. So
Yeah.
it was different. But here's what I'm gonna say: AI wasn't this good of a shooter. He was not this effective.
He's a better mid-range shooter than Ja. Way better.
No, he's not. He was not. Ja Morant is a really good, for him to shoot 45% from three. This is a different level.
I said mid-range.
Iverson was very streaky, even in mid range.
Ja has no pull-up. He
I
has a
wouldn't say
floater.
that.
He has no pull-up. In the playoffs, they ran him off the line. All he had was at the rim. I've seen Iverson tween, step back, crossover, pull back, jumper. You would think Ja's a better mid-range than Iverson?
But he was streaky. No matter
Okay.
what, Iverson was streaky. Ja Morant, for him to show this much efficiency as a shooter, that's different. That's a different level of athlete. The super swagged out point guard. That Derrick Rose, Russell Westbrook. None of them are as efficient as Ja Morant this early in their career. I don't think so. Especially definitely not Russell Westbrook.
Well, we can't. I mean, again, efficiency is you have to compare it through eras, man. It's very hard.
45%. 45% from three is 45%, and maybe Westbrook field goal percentage later on.
Russ is never going to shoot that from three. We'll see if it keeps up though with Ja. But the Grizzlies are off to a good start. Now let's talk about the Knicks real quick.
And they're missing Triple J. Hold on.
We already said that.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, I mean, the Grizzlies are doing their thing. I had them finishing 6th. Right now, they're doing a little better than that. But I mean, I'm not that surprised considering that they're a young team that's hungry and they're gonna have the energy for these kind of things. But Desmond Bane is gonna be an all-star if he continues to play like this. Also, this is a relative true shooting percentage to league average at the time. Yeah, I mean that's a little bit more. That's more fair.
About Iverson, he's talking about
just in general. Although I still think that true shooting percentage for other eras is weird because they only started introducing that because guys were shooting threes and because they wanted to make it so that threes were worth more than two and because field goal percentage wasn't an accurate estimation. But back in the day, it was. Although
if he's talking about Iverson, that was he had the perfect nickname, the Bubba Chuck era. They were chucking. Kobe was the most efficient out of all of them for people that were just volume shooters. It was a volume shooter era.
Well, I feel like it was a lot of teams when that was when we first started seeing 28 to 30 teams and you had like one star that could score and the other guys were like different kind of stars, not offensive.
And then in the late 90s, yeah, and then they were coming out of that in the 2000s. But either way, it was still that was the game, and he was really good at it. But again, if Ja Morant played back then and he was going to focus on being effective at shooting, he would have been a monster, bro. He just would have. I mean, I don't know if he would have lasted because they would have hurt him.
A comment says AI wasn't inefficient though. He had a 0.1 relative true shooting percentage, and if his 0-1 season, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah. Anyway, Knicks, you've watched them more than me. They started the season 3-1, taking care of business. They're about what they expect to be, in my opinion, 5-6 right now. Jalen Brunson has been off to a pretty good start to the season. He had a bad game yesterday, but he's been off to a good start. Knicks fans seem to really like him. RJ Barrett, though, still not really taking that leap we wanted to see. He's around the same kind of averages as last season. Still shooting. He's shooting 42% right now. Tell me your thoughts on him. Randall, though, looks like shooting a little better than last year and looking like he's maybe not back to that 2021 season, but a positive, maybe the best player on the team right now. You can tell me.
Randall's playing the same game he normally does, which is when there's not that much pressure, he shows up and shoots 10 3-pointers out of nowhere. So against the Nets, you're getting blown out. There's no real pressure because we can tell nobody has a game. I don't know how to explain it, but that's just what it is to me. You can sense when there's not that much pressure, and of course, Randall's gonna go off. I want to give him his credit. He did go off against the Timberwolves. I knew he was gonna shoot 10 3-pointers. I didn't put the bet down in FanDuel. I shouldn't have mentioned their name. We're looking for a sponsor, damn it. But I knew he was gonna go off and shoot 10 3-pointers against them because he did it against Sacramento the year before. That's what he does. But he is who he is. And I'm sick of the Knicks fans telling me that RJ Barrett is a star and damn near a starter. We're gonna have to prove to me why he's a starter. Why? Why is he solidified? Why is his name etched, tattooed in the starting lineup? Why? I'm not saying that he doesn't ever deserve to start. What I'm saying is that how come he can't be a six man? Why can't he be the Jamal Crawford or the Manu Ginobili of our team? Why can't he be that? We stink. We can't even start Obi Toppin. We still have yet to have these small ball lineups with Obi Toppin and Julius Randle and even what's his name? Grimes. I can't wait for Sims to come in there. But just and Brunson. Brunson, he started off all right, but there's been a 4 or 5 game stretch where he's not hitting shots. He's shooting like below 30% from threes. You're not gonna get to the basket like that. And again, if Trae Young struggles with passing lanes, who's probably the best passer at that height, Brunson's gonna struggle. When he gets to the basket, they clog on him. Luckily, he dribbles out, but it ruins the flow of the offense. RJ Barrett, that slow jab step gets on my nerves. He gets to the basket and can't hit a layup.
Oh, wow.
You can see he's
Isn't that bad?
It's bad.
Man.
You can see he's frustrated. Don't get me wrong. I know he cares. It's not like I'm saying these things and I don't think he doesn't care. But it's obvious. Leon Rose and them, the Donovan Mitchell trade, I'm almost leaning to it was a mistake.
Well,
I love the fact we have our draft picks, but what are we gonna do with it? These draft picks, this what do you say? The midway mark, the trade deadline. If by this trade deadline, if they don't do much by winning, Leon Rose could be fired, man. Tom Thibodeau could be fired. This doesn't look good. And we're going to start booing. We're going to start streaming you offline because MSG doesn't deserve our money. We got to start burning Knicks jerseys. We got to start burning Leon Rose pictures. That's what we got to do as a fan base. Get together and do this the right way. Stop telling me RJ Barrett's a starter. Stop arguing with me about this. We stink.
All right. That was, well, you got it off your chest there. Shout out to Leo in the chat. This is one of the kids that plays that I coach against. Saying, I know you see this. Yes, I know. I do see it. I love the content, man. Number 1 YouTuber ever. Thank you. And one of the comments is saying, the Knicks are the definition of mid. They beat all their under 500 comp, but lost all their over 500 comp. Well, that's good. Someone asked, how's Cam Reddish doing? You want to answer that real quick? 10 seconds. Come on.
He's another J.R. Smith. He's another J.R. Smith kind of guy. That's who he is. Like, there's guys that are J.R. Smithish. Like John Starks was back in the day. That's what Cam Reddish is. He's not going to be, he's not a solid starter either, but you can see him giving matchup problems to a lot of people. He's not always energized to play. He's not, you can tell he doesn't fully practice all his moves. You know what I mean? Like, he's not fluid. He's not that, I don't think he takes that much time in practice with his game, but he's fun when he's on. And he might be, I don't want to say he's better than RJ Barrett, but there's times where he just can get to the basket easier and he's just lighter on his feet. All those things mean something, especially when you stink.
Let's talk about the Atlanta Hawks. This is a team that I've watched their first 3 games. I've had a really close eye on them. Very exciting team. They're 8-4 right now. They hit the ground running. Trae Young and DeJounte Murray, while not maybe the most seamless pair, it's just so nice having another guy that can take pressure off of Trae Young, a guy that defends is what really stuck out to me. And then John Collins and DeAndre Hunter have had their good and bad games from 3, but overall, I think they've been pretty solid, especially DeAndre Hunter, who's averaging 15 points a game right now. John Collins has his good and bad games, averaging 13 points, 8.5 boards, but Trae Young and DeJounte are each averaging 22-plus points per game. In Trae Young's case, 27.6 and 9 assists. In DeJounte Murray's, 22.6 and 8 assists. They've been awesome, 8-4. And what I love is, when one of them's they can stagger it. When they go to the bench, one of them's in, one of them's out. They both get to do their thing. I think they're Depth is what's lacking. But last couple of games, AJ Griffin has really shown his stroke, a good shooter, and Onyeka Okongwu is a very exciting young big man off the bench. When Bogdanovich comes back, they'll have a little bit better. I really like this Hawks team. Your thoughts on him?
Trey Young surprisingly has a higher usage rate than last year with DeJounte Murray on the team. I thought
usage rate is very dependent on the amount of shots you take too. It's like skewed, man. I thought it was just timing your ball with the ball in your hands, but it's not. It's like plays when it's heavily skewed to shot takers.
right.
I don't know if he's shooting more though. I mean, his percentage shooting the ball has not been very good this year though. 38% from the field and 31 from three. So his efficiency hasn't been very good. But the thing about Trey is he creates so much havoc and he makes up for it with just, I don't like to use the word, but his gravity, his attention that he gets in the pick and roll. I mean, I like the Hawks, man. They're doing their thing, and 8-4. They've had some bad losses, but they've also had some good wins. I mean, beating the Bucks. I know that. Yeah, that was pretty impressive with Giannis.
And DeJounte defensively, he creates a lot of easy baskets for them. And he passes the ball, he can get to the rack pretty good. He's just always kind of struggled with his jump shot. And again, that's part of the reason why I was watching the Spurs last year for Keldon Johnson and them, because DeJounte Murray was like, he stood out to me. I'm just like, what's wrong with this guy? Like, why? He looks very talented. Like, why would they just, sleep on him? And as far as the draft was concerned, but they're a team. Atlanta's a team like in that not mid. Like this guy, Phoenix plays. He was saying the Knicks are the definition of mid, which is true. Atlanta. There's a couple of these teams are in the Indiana. It's not for a lack of, especially Indiana. It's not for a lack of strategy. But they're just their ceiling is just so high. Like we don't expect Atlanta to be in competition with the Bucks. For me, not with Cleveland, and even Toronto will give them problems. They just have a bunch of matchup problems, especially with Trey Young at his best. But they're still. I can be happy as an Atlanta fan being able to root for that than these damn Knicks.
Hey, by the way, a quick shout out to the Pacers. They've been doing a little better than I expected. Tyrese Halliburton has just been amazing. He's been a maestro in pick and roll, and Benedict Mathurin has been exciting, probably battling with Paolo right now as the two frontrunners for Rookie of the Year early on. Let's go to the Miami Heat. A very interesting team. They were one win away from the championship last year. A lot of people were telling me they were going to regress. I believe them, but they were a little bit harsher on it than me. And so far, they look right and I look wrong. They sit at 5-7 right now. Jimmy Butler's missed 3 games. Tyler Hero's missed 2 games. Bam Adebayo's missed a game. They got Tyler Hero starting now because he got that big contract. Max Strus is coming to the bench. And I'm not going to lie, man, their depth is very suspect.
I didn't for some reason I can't remember watching the Heat this year, but I didn't expect them. I was asking all offseason, why do you guys expect the Heat to even be close to an Eastern Conference Finals team? I get their history the last 3 or 4 years, especially with the way Pat Riley and Spoelstra prepare that team from top to bottom of the organization. All right, cool. But talent-wise, Bam doesn't get you. If he doesn't take a leap, where are they going to go?
And he hasn't really taken one offensively. I mean, so far this season, he's averaging about similar stats to last season. I'm gonna check it out right now compared to last season. He's averaging less points this year. He averaged 19 last year. He's averaging 18 this year. His rebounds are down as well. He's shooting slightly worse, but still very efficient, 54%. What I don't get is when you shoot 54%, why don't you try to shoot more? Unless probably a lot of his looks are coming off rolls and putbacks and stuff like that. But he has shown a semblance of a little bit of a bag of some skill, and you just don't see that really change much season to season. At least he made a huge leap in 2020 where I think he should have won Most Improved. But
him and DeAndre Ayton have that same, like, why aren't they better than this? And I just don't think same thing with Phoenix. I don't see them taking a leap until DeAndre Ayton takes a leap. Like they're the young studs that have the potential to bring their team to a different level, but something about them they're just not doing it.
Well, I think I do agree with one of the comments. I think they'll figure it out. Where they'll finish though, I don't know. Jimmy Butler's averaging 21, 6 and 6, which is pretty normal for him. Kyle Lowry, by the way, averaging 13 points and 6 assists. He's shooting 39.6% from the field and 35 from 3. He looks washed and old, man. And that contract is looking like a bad one. Sorry to my Toronto Raptors fans that love Kyle Lowry with every fiber of their being. Dude is not that good anymore.
What do we think of Tyler Hero now? Because that, like, shout out to Uncle Ice. Shout out to Uncle Ice. He loves Tyler Hero. But 19.6 rebounds, 2 assists, 46% from the field, 37.5 from three.
Pretty good. I mean, he's doing okay. He's doing his thing. He had that game winner against Sacramento.
I
And there
expect
you go.
him
Here
to-
we go with the defense attorney stuff. In fairness to Lowry, one of the comments said he's been good at the point of attack defensively. All right, the shooting will
Good
come
for you.
around. We'll
But
see.
I expect to see, even with Tyler Hero, I expected him to shoot better. I could be a little stereotypical with speaking on Tyler Hero, but I think I expected more from him as well. So him and Adebayo, as long as Bam and Tyler aren't, they're not super to me. They might be stars. Tyler Hero likes wearing his glasses. He looks, he's looking cool out there. All right, great. But on the court, I don't know if you're that. If you should be wearing sunglasses like that, brother.
Let's go to some teams that we knew were gonna be great real quick. I don't want to spend too much time on them. Boston Celtics, obviously working without Rob Williams right now, but it's been same old, same old. With Joe Mazzulla, they've still started out really good. 2 of their losses were to the Cavs in really tight games. But overall, they've been good. They're 8-3 right now. They've got some good wins under their belt at Memphis, at Miami, at versus Philly on the first day of the season. And Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum just continue to improve. Tatum's averaging 31 points a game right now. And I did say when he was a rookie, I said he's going to average 30 one year. I think he's going to do it maybe this year. Jaylen Brown's also averaging 25 points. Brogdon's been good. Very quickly, anything on the Celtics, we know how good they are. Their test will be in the playoffs, not now.
Just Tatum. Tatum is, we got to, what
Give
I
us
wanted
flowers.
to, I mean, look, he's for his career is 45% from the field. This year is 49%. That's a major leap. That's 4
Big time.
points high. His rookie year, he had 47.5, close to 48%.
And he's
That's
shooting
amazing.
38% from 3. Remember last season he started out really bad from 3.
They both did. Remember, it was him and Jaylen Brown. They're trying to figure out who was the star guy, who was the lead dog. Now they know it's Tatum. They went to the championship. He didn't show up. Any game that they lost against the Bucks, it was Tatum having a bad game. Anytime he shows up, he's that guy. Him and Paul George, they had this similarity with their confidence. But
You know what?
I
Yeah.
gotta give him his props this year. Jason Tatum looks like a dog. You saw what he said, John Morant? John Morant was trying to talk trash and went to the free throw line. And he goes, yo, man, I gotta go put my baby to sleep. And he hit the free throws to ice the game. I love it.
Dude,
I love that.
Jason Tatum, one thing I will say about him too is no, man, I forgot what I was honestly gonna say.
I'm sorry, I yelled too loud.
No, it's all good. It's just, yeah, continuing to improve. Although, no, here's what I was going to say. The biggest thing for me was last season when the stars started defending. Like Tatum started being like, okay, if I defend, everything's going to fall. Like, I wouldn't say he's not playing defense before, but he took it a level above. I think he's realized that. But let's really quickly, the Milwaukee Bucks started out 9-0, finally lost a game. That was to the Hawks. Drew Holiday, Brook Lopez, and Giannis are off to insane starts to the season. Even without Chris Middleton, they've been doing amazing. Let's keep it quick, though, on the Bucks. We know what they're about. It's going to be all about the playoffs for them. But the hunger they've started with, man.
But I'm still shocked. 9-0. I'm still surprised. I didn't expect that without Middleton. I thought they had to get accustomed to Joe Ingles and I think they're missing not Connaughton. Yeah, Connaughton's not playing.
Yeah, Brook Lopez is leading the league in blocks right now, by the way. Zubac second, Brook Lopez first.
And Giannis leads the league in usage rating, but this is like a historical.
Again, though, usage rate is very tied to shot takers. Like, I don't think Giannis is holding the ball as long as like guys like Luka.
We get it, Dime. You're not too particular on usage rating, and I'm starting to get accustomed to this analytics thing. But again, if this is a historical thing, the Kobe's, the Westbrooks, that's like, you don't want him to do that, but I expect that to change with Middleton. Now, imagine if you add Middleton to this. Middleton fits this offense like a glove. That's the most impressive thing about this Bucks. And I apologized to Budenholzer publicly because I thought he would have been fired 2 years into his regime. He has them playing, beat OKC the other night. Amazing strategy, strategically to play without your star players, your key players in the lineup, and you're still winning games. You got to give him his props, man.
And Giannis is fourth in the league in scoring right now. Definitely in the MVP conversation firmly. 32 points per game, 12 rebounds, 5 assists. He has missed 2 games. I'm not sure if that's load management or not.
He had a sore knee. It was out with a sore knee last game.
That's code for load management to me.
Yes. Phoenix Plazy. Bud was overly criticized. I was one of those critics that overly criticized them because he came from Atlanta, and yeah, And we wanted the best for Giannis because we saw a lot of us saw with Giannis an athlete that superior physically, and then with a high IQ and that motor, we just want the best for him. So I didn't think Budenholzer was that guy. I was dead wrong.
Let's finish off with the East with the last two teams. Philadelphia, they've been off to a tough start. I watched a couple of their beginning games, especially the one they lost to San Antonio. They couldn't guard. They couldn't really guard. Joel Embiid missed a couple of games. Now Harden's out for a month, and Harden was actually looking better. He was actually looking better. Not as, the way he was saying he was like going to be, he's like 100 pounds lighter. He was going to go crazy. Nothing like that. But the Sixers' depth, I thought they got deeper, but they don't really use one trader. And I just don't think and Tobias Harris is only averaging 15 points a game. It's just been all over the place for them. The bright spot has been Tyrese Maxey averaging 23.6 points. But Embiid, even though his stats look really good, 28 points and 9.6 rebounds, he's missed 5 games, and the Sixers sit at 5-7 right now. To me, the game I watched that they lost to San Antonio, they couldn't guard. But what are your observations on them?
Why is Joel Embiid shooting 3-pointers?
Shooting 29% right now, 51% from the field, 29% from deep. Maxey shooting 42%, Harden 33%, and he's only shooting 44% from the field, Harden. Averaging 22 and 10, though, but that's what I kind of predicted for Harden. He's not the same Harden. That's very clear.
He hasn't been the same in a year and a half.
Yeah, since Brooklyn, the hamstring injury.
Once he tore his hamstring, he's just a different guy. I forgot who. I think it was Mesh. Shout out to Mesh from Twitter Spaces. He explained to us, I think, what a grade 2 level hamstring tear is just it's devastating. But again, it goes back to the Anthony Davis thing. Like, how seriously does Harden take care of his body, and how seriously does he take basketball off the court? And again, we try to be consistent. We talked about Giannis. Harden ain't that. He's not in that category because of that. We don't think he conditions himself that well. The fat boy's a little boy, part of my French. Come on now, like that has to take a wear and tear on your body. He can't do that in his 30s. And of course, after a hamstring injury, he's not built super athletically. And I think it's, again, Daryl Morey has never proven anything to us, no matter what anyone says. And certainly Doc Rivers, I don't
even got to say anything about him, Glenn.
You don't.
It up over here.
We know why this channel blew up, because of Doc Rivers being who he is, just showing why he is garbage.
Sixers got to get it together. They got a lot of time to figure it out, though. But without Harden, it's going to be tough. You got to see Embiid play a little better. He's got to be better defensively. I agree with Phoenix Plays. He has not been good defensively this season. And let's end it off with a team that I've watched 5 games up from the East, a team you were very high on in the offseason.
I disagree before we get to Cleveland, because that's a victory lap for me, no matter what happens after this. I disagree with Phoenix Plays here. Harden was Philly's best player before the injury. No way. It's Maxey. That's the problem, that they have to figure out, that Maxey is their best player. He makes them go. I don't
know if he's better than Embiid yet, though. He's averaging 28 and 9.
I mean, all right, if you want to say Embiid, but even Embiid, he's about to make him an afterthought. No, Fabian. No one says Doc in this channel. We only say Glenn. I'm sorry, Kyles. Glenn. Forgot where I was. I'm in enemy territory.
Let's move on to – you're not in enemy territory. Let's move on to an actual decent coach. And JB Bickerstaff and his Cavs team, I've watched their games. Darius Garland got hurt early in the season, so they're starting to just get together with that Mitchell-Garland combo, and they've had some tough losses, including to my Clippers. But I watched their earliest games, and the biggest standout, I think he's been a top 5 player this season, honestly. He's 3rd in the league in scoring right now with 32 points per game. He's doing it at a 51% shooting clip and 45% from deep. Donovan Mitchell has played out of his mind. He's been killing in pick and roll. He's been trying harder defensively. And even though Evan Mobley doesn't look like he's really improved much, him and Jared Allen alongside Donovan, Kevin Love's playing great off the bench. Donovan's been leading this way. The Cavaliers are off to one of the best starts in the league right now. They're 8-3. Thoughts on the Cavs?
You know my thoughts, Don. I told you so. I told you they were going to be this good. They're great. They're not just good. They're great. But
Donovan's their best player. They got to realize that. Garland needs to realize that Donovan right now is their best player.
Well, they have to learn how to mesh together, specifically because at the end of games, Garland, they couldn't do anything last season. Like, it was bad to watch, especially once they went up 20 points. Now you have to learn how to close the deal. They can't close it because you don't have a guy that can continue to score points, put the nail in the coffin. At the end of the game, you got to have that guy. what Donovan Mitchell did against the Boston Celtics. Without Donovan Mitchell, they don't beat the Celtics. That the first game where he hit the game winner against and Tatum had a drive to the basket and yammed it on him. But Donovan Mitchell won those games at the end of the game because he can get to anywhere on the court that he feels like it. And all he does is a Euro step, and he's either going to pass or shoot. But once he gets inside that three-point line, he's devastating because you have Mobley and Allen there. And again, Mobley, like you said, he's very similar to last year. They got to get used to each other because Mobley, a lot of times, if you're going to collapse on defense and double a guy, straight double him, Mobley, because that's what you do. You're able to suffocate someone. He hasn't figured that out with Donovan Mitchell yet. And Mitchell's playing better defense, by the way. He's playing way better defense. So, like you said, like you mentioned earlier, Garland missed a couple games. That kind of hurts them where Garland and Mitchell don't have the reps together on the court and gain the chemistry. No, but at least you get to see how he plays with your squad. It's not just practice. It's real life, real game time, experience you get to see him with. So that's going to be once they figure out that little niche of who gets the ball, where, how we're going to get what plays we're running at the end of a game. I'm gonna take it a step further. I said they were going to finish third in the league.
In the East.
In the East. If
you said they were going to go to the Eastern Conference Finals on video. We have the receipts.
That's cool. That guaranteed Eastern Conference Finals.
Oh,
if they figure out, that's what they. If I see, you got to watch the Cavs game. You can see Garland and Mitchell are very hesitant at the end of the game, especially because all the pressure's on them. Once you see that they start becoming more fluid and are comfortable, Eastern Conference Finals guaranteed. The Bucks will be in trouble.
The only thing I will say, and I do agree with Phoenix plays Z, the Cavs holds they can't guard elite wing players. We talked about this the second they made the trade. That because Isaac Okoro has not shown his offensive chops down the court. That's one thing they're gonna have to figure out, and it's gonna take time to work through, and we'll see how much it hurts them in the playoffs when they get there because they will be in the playoffs for sure.
Play Z. I totally agree with you, but Mitchell Mobley's the guy that's gonna key on that defense for you. He has to make up for all that. It is what it is. You have two shorter guys on the perimeter, and they're gonna allow penetration. So it's JB Bickerstaff and that staff and the rest of the front office to figure out what can they do schematically to take advantage of a Mobley and Jarrett Allen. Jarrett Allen, a lot of times, by the way, he is food. Speaking of food, he's always food to MB for some reason. He got to do some damn push-ups. Jarrett Allen, step your game up, brother.
I will say this, though. When they play Karis LeVert 2 and start him, that's 3 smaller guards. I think they should bring LeVert off the bench. I really do. I think that's a change that needs to be made. It'll be a matter of time before they make it.
Who? I'm sorry, I missed that.
Just in general, he's starting with Mitchell and Garland, and I think LeVert should come off the bench. He's a guard, not a forward, and that's their 3 small. There's 3 guys out there.
We're waiting for, and when Rubio comes back, he can spell some of that. Kevin Love, I don't know if Kevin Love's going to be there by the end of the season because that is an expiring contract. Though he does fit them pretty well. If you can find something for him, I'm not sure what. I'm trying to think who can add to that team. I'll think of it after we get off the air, but Kevin Love contract, we got to watch for. Remember, it's an expiring deal. And you have, no matter what you say, play Z, no matter what you say, Cleveland is on the cusp of championship material. So if they make 1 or 2 moves, they're in there.
Well,
who's your favorite team? The Suns?
He's a Raptors fan. He's a Raptors fan. Anyway.
All right, the Raptors right there, too.
Let's put it this way. To answer Kyle's question, yes, I was critical of Donovan Mitchell in the last 2 playoffs. He's asking, is there something unique about Donovan this year compared to the Jazz? Yes, it's really just his focus, his hunger. It's very clear he was disinterested last year. He was over that team. He's playing with that increased hunger, and he's younger. Like he's just approaching his prime. He's going to be the best version of himself on this Cavs team. So they honestly made a great deal. And I was foolish, honestly, to say that Donovan Mitchell may have peaked. That was a foolish statement by me. We got to give players a little bit more time when they hit their prime. He's like 26. Now he's how old is he? I'm looking at it right now. 26. Yeah, you got to give him some time. He's starting his prime right now. So
he's starting his prime next year.
There we go.
Guys are and they're young. Their 4 guys are all under 26 years old. You got to understand what's going on here. Yeah, man. I understand what you're saying, Phoenix, Plazy, but it's if you have the Cavs, the Celtics, and the Cavs, the Celtics, and the Bucks, as the top 3 teams in the East, what's really separating them? Again, injuries can happen. The Bucks winning a championship, I don't want to take anything away from them, but there were injuries. There is the Kevin Durant narrative with his toe on the line. We're gonna hear that 1,000 times, a million times. I make fun of the Nets all the time for that. But injuries do happen. If something happens to the Bucks, God forbid, the Cavs are right there. If something happens to the Celtics and you're with your narrative, the Cavs are right there. That's the Eastern Conference Finals chip. So imagine if they just change their strategy and make up for what you're saying, their flaws on defense.
Let's move on, though. The Sacramento Kings, don't want to spend too much time on them. They're an exciting team. I'm impressed with what I've seen from Keegan Murray. He can shoot the ball really well. He can score. De'Aaron Fox has been awesome so far this season. They started out like 0-5, but finally got some good wins against Miami, against Charlotte. Right now, they stand at, I believe, 4-6. De'Aaron Fox has been awesome, though. 25 points, 5 rebounds, 5 assists for him. He's been killing it. It's great to see that after the Halliburton trade. He had a down year last year. He's averaging 53.5% from the field. So that's pretty good. What I would say is a little bit more needed from Sabonis. He's averaging 17 and 10. But honestly, I think he should be averaging 20 points. Quick, anything on the Kings?
Yeah, I agree with you with Sabonis. I'm surprised, or I'm not surprised. I mean, what can he really do in this era? Is like
what is that? That's no excuse. You should be eating against some of these guys.
Yeah, and he's a really good pick and roll guy. He has a lot of screen assists. De'Aaron Fox, yes, he's good. He's athletic, but again, he's in that Bradley Beal, Zach LaVine territory for me. He's not taking you over the hump. He doesn't have the presence on the court, the gravity. Well, you guys say there's no gravity to him. There's no real gravity to him. There's no real gravity in the standings for him. Where is his impact really made? He's totally tradable, in my opinion.
That's harsh, man. I think he's been great this season. I think you have to honor his drive.
Okay, it's good, but yes, you're right about that, because now with Brown and Mike Brown there, who I'm never high on, I think Mike Brown is not a really good head coach, but he has them working on defense a little more. They have some surprise victories this year, and when they beat the Cavs, they showed up, and De'Aaron Fox had a lot to do with that. But so was Malik Monk, by the way. Malik Monk hit that game, the clincher, with Mike Brown pushing him into the corner, and he slapped and blocked the hell out of Jerry Allen at the end of the game. But what do we really expect from them? The play-in?
I said 11th seed, and the team I have in the 10th seed, and we should get to them right now, is the Blazers, and they've been really surprising the way they've started the year with 2-game winners, one from Jeremy Grant, one from Josh Hart. Their bench has been a little better than expected against the Heat. Their bench has been a little better than expected with Justice Winslow having a pretty good year right now, but it's been Damian Lillard who is just back. Like he's just back like he never left. Back in his best, 28.6 points per game, 5 rebounds, 5 dimes. Anthony Simons is also averaging 22 points a game. And Jeremy Grant, who we knew would be great for that team, 18 points. They're 9-3 right now. And an exciting player for them is Shadon Sharp, who's a rookie. Their 7th pick in the draft. He's been exciting. He's out right now. Any short stuff on the Blazers? I watched their game against the Lakers and the Nuggets. And you know it's always going to be hard to win at Rose Garden. Anything quick on them? Don't want to spend too much time on it.
Shout out to All Ball. He's a big Dame Lillard fan. I was looking at Kyrie Irving and Dame Lillard's stats, trying to see, because we always compare them throughout their careers. Kyrie has a better all-time field goal percentage, 47% for their careers. Dame Lillard is shooting 48% from the field this year. That's the best by far he's had throughout his career. He averages 44 for his career. 48 is amazing.
41% from 3.
That's a step up. We think of him as a 3-point shooter, but he's really not Steph Curry and Kyrie, and that's why, because he's been inconsistent. And I think he's had way too much pressure on him or attention on him because they know that the rest of the team couldn't do it. This team, is it a little more balanced than his previous teams?
Yeah, and you know, if Simons can be that McCollum guy, and then you have Jeremy Grant, that's that wing they always lacked. And one thing I'm going to say, Chauncey Billups is no nonsense. You know, he's a winner. Wherever he played, he clearly seems like he's got a good eye for this. They're playing defense, man. And I saw him calling out plays like he's a college coach. He's got his finger on this team. Like the pulse of this team is good. And they could be a lot better than we expected, man. And that's because I kind of underestimated the Dame effect. But a little bit of their I underestimated how good Dame would be again. But, man, their depth has been a little more impressive too.
And Josh Hart is a guy that when he was even on the Lakers, he obviously stood out as a talented player, but you just figure, like, you know how sometimes you watch someone, you're like, I don't know what they're going to be, but I know he's talented, right? And he goes to the Pelicans. on the Lakers, you told me, you were the one who told me that there were signs he would be a great rebounder. But to me,
Yeah.
statistically, you can see it stood out on the Pelicans. It jumped into 7 rebounds a game. On the Blazers, is he still averaging 11 rebounds a game?
Doubt it. I can
He
check
had
right now. I have it
he
up
had
right now.
he had monster
He's
games.
averaging 9 rebounds a game. That's really
Yeah.
good though for a guard.
Yeah. He was averaging 11. He had a 16 rebound game and an 11 rebound game back to back. And he hit the game winner against Miami. He's another guy. When you have teams like this that they play like Phoenix does this, they're just, next man up. The next man up mentality. They have the talent for it. They have the leadership on the court with Dame Lillard with it. And like you mentioned, Chauncey Billups, big shot, right? Chauncey Billups from the Detroit Pistons Finals MVP. He's showing that now as a coach. I love it.
Let's check out the Mavericks for now. They have been playing down to the level of their competition. They have some really good wins. They beat Brooklyn twice. They lost tonight to the Wizards. They're now 6-5. They also lost the game to the Pelicans without Brandon Ingram and Zion. They lost to the Thunder when they had the lead. Reggie Bullock, who had a better shooting night tonight, has been really struggling. JaVale McGee has not panned out the way they wanted. He's already getting put on the bench and not playing, and Dwight Powell's back in the starting lineup. So I don't really know what to even say, but it's a lot of Luka ball, man. He's absolutely killing it, but it's just too much Luka ball. It's the same story again. Christian Wood, statistically, he's been good. I don't know how good he's been defensively, though, because I only watched like 2 games from the Mavs. But anything on the Mavs, Luka's averaging, he's leading the league in scoring right now. He's averaging like 35 points a game, which is amazing. Yeah, 35 points a game. But man, the Mavericks, I don't know. They're going to be around that. I said 5 before the season, and I think they'll be around that. But man, it's a lot of Luka ball to me.
We talked about Trae Young's usage rate. You're not big on usage rate. I get it. We talked about Giannis's usage rate, damn near all-time highs in NBA history. The difference is with Giannis versus Trae Young and Luka Doncic, they have no change coming to their teams. So you have all that usage rate. You got to be ball hogs. You got to chuck. You better be leading the league in scoring, Luka, because you have the ball in your hands damn near the entire game. Giannis will have Middleton come back and relieve some of this offensive pressure on him. But Luka ain't getting that. And it'll be fun to see. I don't know. This will be, if he gets the MVP, because he looks like an MVP candidate, it will be because of the usage rate thing. It'll be because this is volume shooting to the T. Yes, he's effective, but it's and he's a great passer, don't get me wrong. But again, defensively, what are we really watching here? Defensively, it is bad.
And he's saying Christian Wood has been terrible on defense too. I mean, I'm not going to comment on that, but okay.
I've seen
he's shooting. His offensive stats are good. I mean,
yes,
he's averaging 15.5 points and 10 rebounds on 57% shooting and 46 from deep. That's really good. But defensively, he's going to be where he can struggle to be on the floor if he can't get that figured out.
And I thought he would rebound more. I thought he would bring the rebounding and be able to pass from different spots that Jalen Brunson couldn't pass from.
He's only averaging 25 minutes a game, though. So 8 rebounds in 25 minutes is not bad.
No, and that's surprising, too. Like, why 25 minutes? Like, is there something up with Christian
defense?
Wood?
This is what you're saying. It's probably because of that defense.
Just because of that? Okay.
Yeah, I would assume so. And then, all right, let's move on, though, we got 5 teams left. 6 you want to count the Lakers. I don't really want to talk about them, though, much. They're cooked right now. Let's talk about the Minnesota Timberwolves.
The Lakers? Hold on. The Lakers?
Yeah. I mean, we're already over an hour.
Okay. Well, only thing I got to say is LeBron dropped from 51% field goal shooting to 45%. We've never seen LeBron James shoot.
Man. Can't get to the rim the same way. He's not blowing by guys in the half-court set that much.
Yeah.
It's like, anyway. And Russ is playing a lot better. But
Russ is playing because he's on the bench and where he should be. But LeBron.
The role players are garbage.
Well, LeBron might should be coming off the bench actually because the Lakers just don't stink. LeBron stinks.
I don't think so. It's a lot more than LeBron. And I'm not a huge LeBron guy anymore, but it is what it is. They got. I don't know. If you want content about the Lakers, dime dropper. That's all I got to say. Yes.
No,
Minnesota.
Like that.
Minnesota. They've been a team I've had my eye on. They've had some bad losses to the Spurs. They're really just trying to figure it out defensively, in my opinion. I think Gobert's actually been good. I think he's actually been really good at doing what he does. And I don't think the offensive fit has looked as clunky as people want to say. I think Cat's actually been pretty decent to start the year. But the most disappointing thing for me, besides the fact that this team just they gave up Jared Vanderbilt, which was tough. They just don't have that many great defenders on the perimeter. And I just think that their defensive focus is kind of all over the place. But here's the thing about Minnesota. They started last season like 3-8. They were off to a bad start. They're doing better this season. But D'Angelo Russell and Anthony Edwards in particular, we said it before the season. Anthony Edwards needs to be that guy that takes this franchise by the balls and brings them up. He's averaging 21 points per game right now, which is not the leap I expected. He's shooting 45% from the field, which is okay. 33 from three. Karl Anthony Towns is averaging 21 points per game. D'Angelo Russell is shooting 38% and 31.5 from three. It's just not good enough. And with a team with like 4-star caliber players, they need to be better, especially D'Lo and Ant. And Ant just looks disinterested. Then they asked him that question about, how come you haven't had any dunks? He's like, the paint is packed. Dude, I've seen the Timberwolves play. They stagger Cat and Gobert a lot. It's one of them is in and one of them is out a lot of the times. And Anthony Edwards is not putting that same effort on either end to me this year so far. I don't know what's going on. Any thoughts on the Timberwolves? They're 5-7 right now. I said they're going to finish in the 8th seed, and I still stand by that. They're still doing better than last season so far. But what's your thoughts on that?
I disagree with you that their offense is clunky. I think,
but why do you think that is?
Because Ant-Man, I blame it all on Ant-Man. If you're gonna suck like this and you're gonna be below 500, you might as well hog the ball. You need to be Luka Doncic ball. You need to be
why Luka Doncic ball? He has more talent than Luka does. His team is more talented. I mean,
because your coach, the players don't fit. That Goldberg thing is a real deal. Now, this is the second wing perimeter player that you're having a problem with. They're not going to verbalize it. They haven't verbalized it yet, but it got to be something to it. Cat, I never liked Cat. Thank you, Phoenix Plazy. Always been soft. Putting the shame to the Dominicano flag. All right, Cat, step it up, brother. But
I think he's been okay. But he's peaked to me.
He can't go left. Like when he goes to the left to the basket, he doesn't finish with his left.
It's weird.
It's
true. That is true. It's a good observation.
It's horrible.
He's averaging less points than he did last year. He's averaging 21 this year, averaged 24.6 last year. His efficiency is basically the same, though, but he's shooting worse from three. Last year, 41%. This year, 36%. Needs to get it together. But I will say at times when he's playing the five, it's a lot of like he's going to – when Gobert is playing the five, he's going to be at the four just sitting on the perimeter, and that's what he's been doing.
Exactly, and that plays exactly. I don't like Cat on defense. And now –
he's always been poor to average.
Right, but so for me, I'm thinking Gobert's always missing the Evan Mobley type. And again, the Evan Mobley is that's one a rare guy. But Vanderbilt was that.
That's what I was going to say. They would have had it in Vanderbilt.
That's the first player I said that when they lost him, that was a big deal. I thought that was a key piece. He was the energy guy. He got a bunch of blocks, deflections on defense. To have that guy next to Gobert, he would have created a lot more transition plays. He would have created a lot more turnovers. And at least they'd be in way more ball games. So once they had to give him up, I mean, you gave up that many draft picks. You couldn't keep Vanderbilt, a key piece to the core, the identity of your defense. That was a big mistake. You totally changed the way you play defense by adding Gobert and did not add the players you needed to complement that style of defense. No bueno.
Well, I think they'll still be okay over time. I still think they'll put it together. And when I say put it together, I mean like 43, 44 wins. I think Anthony Edwards and D'Lo need to step it up, though, big time. And that's all I got to say about them. As far as the Phoenix Suns, I actually want to talk about these guys because this is a team that's not getting any love considering they just choked so hard to the Mavs. But they've really come out after all the turmoil in the offseason, Robert Sarver, DeAndre Ayton. They've come out and said, you know what? Stop sleeping on us. We're still the team that had the best record in the league last year. We were the Western Conference champs in 2021, and we're still going to be right in that championship conversation. And I don't like the Suns like that, but Devin Booker has started the season out as well as just about anybody. They're 8-3. They've been whooping teams at home. Devin Booker's averaging 27.5 points a game, 4 rebounds, 5.5 assists. Chris Paul, I will say, he looked like he's dropped off a lot. He's not even averaging 10 points right now, which is not like Chris Paul, but he is still averaging his 9.4 assists. Cameron Payne is averaging more points than Chris Paul. Cameron Johnson was having a great season, and he just tore his meniscus, so that's a huge loss for them, especially considering Jay Crowder doesn't want to play for them. So, and Mikal Bridges is doing Mikal Bridges things. DeAndre Ayton, though, 14.6 points, 7.6 rebounds. It's just not the progression you want to see. He's averaging less points than last season, and I don't think that's coincidence. I will say Jock Landale off the bench okay. The Suns are doing well right now. I still see them as pretenders long term, but I got to give them their props. They're killing it right now. They're 8-3, and they could get the number 1 seed.
I don't know how to follow that up. Just that Mikal Bridges should get way more love. He got to be an All NBA guy. He's the lead wolf.
All NBA or all defense?
All defensive guy. That's again under 25 years old. My Knicks. I don't know what is so super about RJ Barrett, right? Well, Mikal Bridges that's the superstar quality that he has. Defensively, lead wolf. That's what that guy is. If you talk about gravity on offense, he's the gravity killer on defense, right? He leads the team with that. And someone like is Ayton the problem when it's time when it's crunch time, when it's time to make this leap in the playoffs? Because he doesn't show up. He just disappears for a 7-foot guy to disappear like that. Great magician.
Well, I agree.
But
I agree he disappears, but I also see Chris Paul and Devin Booker just every single time. This was going back to last season, not really this season. Just want to run one-on-one after they get switched screens instead of passing it to the big man, dumping it down. It's like they drift away from him as games go on. And if I was Ayton, I'd be pissed. And I know what Chris Paul does, man. He wants to control the game as the game goes on. He loves to dictate. His act is tired, man. I love Chris Paul, but his act is fucking tired, and they're gonna get exposed down the line. But right now, they're doing their thing. The Cam Johnson loss, though, is a tough one, but they're second in the league in defensive rating, and you just knew that, like, they just have that chemistry. Continuity is the best thing, and right now they're doing their thing.
But they're a trade away, right? Like, I can't think of a name off the top, but another team that are trade away, and they're just scary.
Let's talk about the New Orleans Pelicans, a team that I've had my eye on big time. I've watched like 6 of their games. They've been really, really fun. I'm not going to lie, guys. I really like Zion. Like I was a kind of a hater because of all the hype, but I love how he really doesn't let the defense off the hook at all. He will go at your body constantly. His finishing touch around the rim is spectacular. And from what I've seen, his defense has been better this year. But the guy whose defense really stuck out like a sore thumb, and this was in the loss against both Utah when Kelly Olynyk made the game winner and Indiana, Jonas Valanciunas in the pick and roll is tough to watch. He's really slow. And even though I like him offensively, he's averaging 15 points, 10.5 boards. It was really a problem. Brandon Ingram had a concussion. He missed 5 games. They're sitting at 6-6 right now, which considering they started 2-0, isn't great. Zion's averaging 23 points, 7 rebounds, and 4 assists. CJ's averaging 19 points and 6 assists. I like their depth. They're young players. They're Jose Alvarado's, Herb Jones, Najee Marshall, who played really well against the Clippers. Trey Murphy. I like him a lot. He's shooting 43% from 3 too, Murphy. CJ's efficiency has struggled this season, but I know he's going to get it together. I really just believe he's going to just hit shots as the season progresses. Shooting 41% from the field and 31 from 3. Ingram has been awesome, though, when he's played. 49% from the field he's shooting and 54% from 3. Zion is shooting 54%. I think it's going to take some time for the Pelicans. Just got to stay healthy. They're going to continue to get better, but that defense is a problem with Valanciunas. Any thoughts on them?
I didn't know Ingram was shooting 54% from 3.
Yeah, but he's only shooting 3 attempts, but that's still impressive.
Well, no, that's very selective. And excuse me,
his mid-range is beautiful, man. I love watching Ingram play.
What's even just as surprisingly beautiful is the 1-2 game that he has with Zion. I'm surprised that they fit that well together. I was totally surprised about that. Again, shout out to David Griffin. He did a great job putting that team together. I'm wondering, they need something else too, because they should be,
Why?
Zion.
Give him time, man. They're young.
Yeah, because Zion is the guy that has to take him 23 points a game. They have to figure out a way to get him the ball more, just to be able to get more possessions on offense and just better defensively, probably. Because
I think he's done better defensively this year so far from what I've seen. But I still think I wouldn't call him a good defender or anything like that. The one thing about Zion is I think sometimes you're right, he can drift away a little bit, but I think it's also because when teams pack the paint, that's where you got to show a little more skill. He's got a skill of finishing around the rim, no doubt, but he doesn't really have a polished post game yet besides bully ball to me. He has pretty good footwork, but he just doesn't have the polished post game in terms of like jump hooks, turnarounds, or anything of that nature like Barkley had. His game reminds me of Barkley in the sense that he's like a 6'5" tank and he's not scared of anybody, but Barkley had more skill in the post.
And it takes a little time for him to get that shot. You know what I mean? He's a lefty, right?
You got to wait release.
The release is not too quick, So it's gonna be rougher for him. And like I like the Barkley comparison because he's very strong. And Barkley is such an interesting player to think about in this era, right? Because of that same exact thing. He bullied you to death, and he was an awful 3-point shooter. So, but he had a great. If you watch Barkley when he's on that fadeaway and on baseline move,
Yeah.
amazing. I mean, if
Yeah.
Zion gets a move
Zion,
like
if he
that,
had that, it would open up everything for him.
yeah, I agree.
There you go. But I love the Pelicans, though. They're actually my favorite team in the league besides the Clippers. So let's close it out right here with the last couple of teams. The Denver Nuggets, I've watched them a lot because of Murray. And I think, by the way, KCP, Bruce Brown, great additions. KCP's doing great. Jamal Murray was on minutes restriction, but he is slowly starting to get back into form. He looks just like he used to be. He looks great. And I think Jokic has at times been really passive this season, and he's given Jamal Murray time to run pick and rolls and stuff like that. And if I'm not mistaken, I don't know if it was the 2021 season or last year, but there was one season where Jokic kind of came out a little slower. He's only averaging 21 points right now, Jokic, but 10 rebounds and 9 assists. Jamal Murray's averaging 16 points, and he's still only averaging 28 minutes a game. But Michael Porter's averaging 18 points is what you want to see. Also 7 boards. Aaron Gordon's averaging 14 and 7. Bones Highland is averaging 14 off the bench. And despite the fact that the Nuggets started out 2-2, they are 6-1 ever since. They're 8-3. And right now, considering the way the Warriors and the Clippers look, if I'm a Nuggets fan, I'm thinking this could be the season that it all comes together right now. Your thoughts on them? Yes, they are still suspect defensively. I do agree. They've looked a little shaky at times outside of Aaron Gordon. And I think Jokic is a part of that as well. But considering their record, I think they're good right now, and they're going to continue to just get better.
Shout out to Uncle Ice because I didn't know who the hell Bones Highland was until he told me. So I was watching out for him. He plays with a lot of confidence.
Oh, yeah.
It's fun to watch him. I saw the Denver game against the Spurs, and
They
didn't whoop them.
Oh, no, it was the one that was a 6-point game.
Yeah, the Spurs beat them. They
haven't lost to the Spurs. They've lost to the Blazers when Anthony Simons went ballistic in the third quarter. They lost on opening night to the Jazz because they just totally underestimated them. And I think a lot of people are underestimating the Jazz. That's going to be the next team we talk about. And then they also lost to No, they haven't lost to the Spurs. They lost to the Lakers. The first win the Lakers got was against the Nuggets. Yeah, that was when Westbrook was doing his thing. They've beaten the Spurs twice.
That's crazy. I was watching that game. Am I going nuts? Anyway, same thing that you were saying. I think they're just trying to integrate everyone else into the game. Yeah, Jamal Murray, he looks good. The other day, I forgot who were they down by 18. And he was like, the reporter asked him, we were down by 18 points. You weren't
Indiana, maybe?
I think so. He was like, what's going on in your brain? He's like, we're down 18 the second quarter. What are you talking about? The way Jamal Murray had this matter of factly he swagged out. I love it. That's the key, right? We need Jamal Murray back in there and that 1-2 punch with Joker. But Joker's gonna be Joker, and he's averaging 21. We're okay with Joker averaging 21, and they're 9-3. We're okay with that. It's different than Zion averaging 23 and whoever else we mentioned earlier. Joker, I think, come on now, he's the new Bill Walton. Even though we're too young for that, but that's what he is. He's the center. He's a point center, and I mean they look really good. But defensively, like you said, it starts with Joker. If he can improve, take another step up defensively, then they're a monster team.
The most surprising team in the NBA, without a shadow of a doubt, my least favorite team, the Utah Trash, right now looking like the Utah Cash. I mean, they are just playing this young, spunky team with a bunch of cast-offs. And Mike Conley as their vet. Kelly Olynyk is one of their vets. But what we've really seen, though, and Jared Vanderbilt, and Malik Beasley are solid role players from Minnesota, big parts of their playoff run last year. But Lauri Markkanen is playing the best basketball of his career, coming off of FIBA. Right now, he's looking like an all-star. And just Will Hardy, is that his name? The coach of the Jazz. He's in his first year, and he's doing a hell of a job. They're 10-3 right now, hitting teams from deep. And Jalen Horton-Tucker, Colin Sexton off the bench have been really good. And Mike Conley's averaging 8 assists, and it looks like a little bit of a revival for him. Kelly Olynyk starting at the 5. They start with 5 guys that can shoot threes, but a big front line with Olynyk, Markkanen, and Vanderbilt. Markkanen's averaging 23 and 9 right now. Thoughts on them? I've watched a lot of their games.
Just Markkanen was clunky, with Cleveland anyway. They didn't fit too much, and this makes so much sense with Olynyk and Vanderbilt. Because Vanderbilt is just, like I said, what he meant to Minnesota last year was it was not everything.
We undervalued him for sure.
They totally did. Like Josh McDaniels, I think it was Kyle Six. Josh McDaniels is no Vanderbilt.
Jaden
No duh.
McDaniels.
Jaden McDaniels. He's no duh. And then he's just gonna create that many more possessions for them. Jordan Clarkson is still there. So they still changed.
Jordan Clarkson, by the way, is having an amazing season. He's starting, and he's been much smarter with his shot selection, averaging 19 points, 4.5 rebounds, and 5 assists. And he's doing it efficiently, 44% from the field, 41 from 3. So his true shooting is probably pretty good. He's been awesome. I think Sexton's been good off the bench too, but
yes,
Walker
yes.
Kessler. Have you seen that rookie Walker Kessler off the bench? He blocks shots, man. He's pretty good.
I've seen this couple Sexton highlights. I was trying to watch some more Utah games, but really what stood out was Colin Sexton just off the bench, being these guys willing to play their roles. Again, going back to my Knicks, RJ Barrett. Who the hell do you think you are? Jordan Clarkson is what, his 4th team, right? He's on the Cavs, the Jazz,
Lakers, Cavs, and Jazz. His 3rd team.
3rd team. Okay, came off the bench, starting now. He learned the game, and yeah, he's just been impressive. That whole team's been impressive. Danny Ainge, we got to give him his props now. He is no Daryl Morey. He ain't no Daryl Morey. Danny Ainge put this team together. He snuck that guy from Boston. Will Hardy's from Boston. That's where he's from.
He's killing it, man.
Yeah, and not that they missed him because the Missoula guy, what's his name?
Joe Mazzulla.
Mazzulla, he's a good replacement, but Danny Ainge had a plan, and he stole a bunch of draft picks too, so they can get even better.
And also the Jazz. So obviously the most surprising team, but I'm surprised that Colin Sexton isn't starting, but Mike Conley's been killing it. And I don't know how long it's going to last, but my question to you is, before we move on and finish off, do you think they're going to be able to sustain this? Because that's what it is. Are they going to be a playoff team?
I mean, I hate to.
I thought they were going to tank for Wemby.
I hate to. Well, there is no tanking anymore. And I think Danny Ainge is well aware of that. That's why he got all the draft picks. You need to be able to be in position to try to win while also stacking the draft picks. But I think they can. It's sustainable because of their rotation, the depth in their rotation, and also, can we talk about how maybe we were a little too early with the East being the new beast? The Western Conference is deep, or both sides are just well balanced. I think there's
I think the 90s is the most balanced it's been.
I think since 2023 is reminding me of 1993, where if a lot of these guys are a lot healthier. If you look back at the 1993 season, it was a great season. Even though the Bulls were probably predicted to win, there were a lot of great teams. The Hornets, there's so many teams, so much talent spread out throughout the league. Expansion didn't totally ruin everything yet. And when this era, you have the international players. You have all, Kawhi didn't make it back yet. But Middleton didn't make it back yet. Kyrie still being Kyrie, but a lot of really good teams creating a really competitive environment. And I'd say there's 1 or 2 more teams that are better in the West or more competitive. I'm a little bit more scared of in the West than the East. So that's the only thing that could probably ruin the Jazz is them eating themselves in the West. If they're knocked down, they're not going to not sustain it because they're not good. I love their rotation, man. Like they're obviously well coached, and like you can't knock a team for the players buying into their roles.
The problem is marketing hasn't been able to stay healthy in the past. So if he can stay healthy, that's huge. If he can't, we'll see how they cope with it.
Yeah, barring injury.
Let's try to cap this at 90 minutes with the last 3 teams. Warriors, Nets, and Lakers. A lot going on in each place. I'm going to start with the Lakers because I cover them all the time. I'm just going to ask you right away. What do you do for the Lakers? It's clearly looking like LeBron and AD can't lead a team to a chip. A lot of Laker fans want them to trade for a 3-and-D, like Miles Turner, Buddy Hield. Like, just trade Russ still and give AD and LeBron a chance with a better supporting cast to see if they can still do it. I don't think they can do it. I think that's very naive. I mean, they may be able to get like a 4 or 5 seed if they did, but I don't know. You give me your thoughts on them quick.
This is just what happens with the super teams. The super teams, I know we've gone over this before. I think the Boston Celtics had a super team in the 80s, but they didn't mortgage their future. Like, they were able to draft Reggie Lewis and I'm forgetting the other guy that passed away. God bless him. And Len Bias. The Lakers didn't do that. They mortgaged everything for LeBron, for the end of LeBron James' career. They deserve this. Like Kobe, they gave Kobe a crazy contract. God bless his dead. At the end of his career, that's on them. I don't know what they're doing, but they signed up for this. LeBron at the end of his career, They won a championship, and like I always tell you, if there's no culture, I don't how are you gonna root for it as a fan base? It gets stale, it gets disgusting. Like you don't want to root for this. You don't want to have to watch something like this. This is not good. This is bad. And we're trying to promote it as if it's something like that we should be doing. It's not competitive from the front office down. And you are a major organization. You're a major like American organization. This is horrible to look at. LeBron is an icon. This is bad on every level. So what can they do? They got to sit and take it. They got to get. They need Jerry West to do them another favor, which he's not going to do.
Right. Yeah. I mean, there's not much to say about them. Let's just continue the circus and follow it along as it goes. And speaking of circuses, Brooklyn, Kyrie Irving, with all the stuff that's been going on, yet a new season, new controversy with him. The link to a movie or documentary that was potentially had anti-Semitic things. He was suspended 5 games by the league. I watched this Nets team, man, a lot of their games. Kyrie has been actually hooping. KD's been playing amazing, like amazing basketball, averaging 31 a game, so efficient. They're 3-1 without Kyrie right now. Fired Nash, and I actually think it was the right decision. I'm not very much of a coach killer kind of guy, but they had no identity. They're switching. They're trying to be a switch everything team. They don't have the personnel to do it. They just look weak on the interior. Claxton is an undersized big. They had no backup. And Ben Simmons, man, by the way, I think they're going to really TJ Warren, I think, is going to really help with some bench scoring. But they weren't playing this Cam Thomas guy. He's clearly a player that should be in this rotation. And Ben Simmons, man, I got something to say. Like, I gave him the benefit of the doubt the first couple games. He's still working back into things. But this guy looks like he's lost every single ounce of confidence he ever had. He hasn't even had one 10-point game yet. He's averaging 5 points, 5.6 points. Kevin Durant's defense has been amazing. Harris looks good. Seth Curry looks like, Seth Curry. But Ben Simmons, he looks like he's like that kid at the park that's like he never played basketball and he's just playing with all the big boys now. He's like, what do I do? He comes up the court and looks for a handoff right away. He's scared. It's really disturbing to me.
Shout out to Kill from Philadelphia. He warned me about Ben Simmons 3 years ago when he was still in Philly. He never liked Ben Simmons, and I was like, "Are you crazy? He's like a top defensive player in the league." But
and he's not. I think he's not been playing with that level of defense either. I think he's been decent, but on defense, but nothing crazy.
Right, but it's like when you're a fan of someone and you get to see them day in, day out, and you get a feel for them, and you know when the pressure's on. I'm not liking this guy. And Kill, he warned me about him, and that was right before the pass to when he passed up the layup with Trae Young in front of him.
Yeah,
that was the last straw for him in Philadelphia. And I don't want to shoot him any bail, but there is something to back injuries. Like I don't want to, just keep jumping on them. It's clear. They've already spoken on everything with Ben Simmons. But with back injuries, we saw with Dwight Howard, these guys turn out to be different players after a back injury like that. And it's beyond losing confidence. He's never really had confidence. Like you said, I think he's always been that kid that didn't realize he belonged. He had a growth spurt and just, play with the big boys. And then you can see it with these guys. You can see a highlight with Kyrie Irving's yelling at him, yo, shoot the ball.
Yeah.
He's yelling that. And the Kyrie thing, I don't know what better environment you can have for Ben Simmons either. Like this was somewhere where if it's just mental and it's just about confidence, these guys are going to let you be what you be. And I know all the criticism is going on with Kyrie. I think he made a mistake and he doubled down on it. But I love Jaylen Brown for sticking up for him, by the way. That should be spoken about and applauded way more. But Kyrie has still been allowed to be Kyrie. You know what I mean? Like Kevin Durant is still allowed to be Kevin Durant. So Ben Simmons, I don't know what maybe Golden State because of their culture, but you don't think Draymond would have punched him in the mouth by now and we would have called it on TMC?
I don't know. I will say though, the Nets are starting to get it together with Jacques Vaughn. They're 5-7 now. Kevin Durant's averaging 31 points a game. He's playing amazing. I think it's going to take a little bit of time. What happens with Ben Simmons and Kyrie, I don't know. We'll keep an eye on that situation, but it's been real rough so far, especially defending. We'll see what they do.
And that's the other thing before we go end this. That's the other thing, Dime. They are 3-1, and they are without 2 of the 3, premier players on their team. Like they're really not playing well or not playing at all. So for them to be even this successful, I don't find them scary. I don't think they're championship material because the defense is lagging, like you said. but you still got to tip your cap to KD. Is he still a top 5 player? Definitely top 10.
Right now, he's looking top 5. But I will say this: I made a mistake. I said Seth Curry's looking like Seth Curry. No, he's not. He's shooting 32%. So, and 37% from three is not terrible, but man, he'll get back. He just came back. He'll round into form, in my opinion. And let's end it off with the defending champs. A lot of controversy around them. The Warriors. I watched a lot of their games, and it's very clear what the issue is. They cannot defend. They're 23rd in the league right now, tied with in defensive rating. That's what they've made their mark on, especially last season. And I will say this, there's some depth problems for sure, but the way this is being twisted is like it's all the bench's fault and that the starters are flawless, and that's just wrong. I watched their 4-game losing streak on the road, and I'm pretty sure they still haven't won a road game. They're throwing out lineups out there off the bench with a bunch of the kids, man, and it's like it's gonna take time for them to build their chemistry. And like when you throw out a bunch of young players out there at once, it's like you might as well be the Rockets. They play with that kind of inexperience. Dante DiVincenzo got hurt, and that's hurt them a little bit. You got Ty Jerome playing, and Jordan Poole. It's kind of been like he's had to do everything for that second unit on offense a lot of times. And I will say JaMychal Green has noticeably declined. I mean, I was a big JaMychal guy when he was at the Clippers, but he's noticeably declined. And there's the Wiseman controversy, who clearly is struggling to adapt to playing drop coverage at the NBA level. But if you like, this is where he has to learn. Like he's gonna need to make mistakes and work through them. He's not just gonna learn over time. It's tough, drop coverage at the NBA level right now. It is not easy. He's learning how to play with it. He's hurt them in some minutes. It's part of the process. But what I think has really stuck out to me is Steph Curry is still Steph Curry. Kevon Looney is still Kevon Looney from last season. Andrew Wiggins is Andrew Wiggins. Draymond Green and Klay Thompson for me, though. Klay Thompson is shooting 36%, 32 from 3, 32.6 if you want to get exact, and shooting 15 and averaging 15 points a game. And he shoots 15 shots a night. Like he's just kind of a shot hunter. I think he's really declined, and defensively he's declined too. And Steph Curry, I think he's improved a little bit the last couple of games, but to start the game in that winning streak, and that losing streak, I should say, his defense wasn't that good. Not like I saw last season. And Draymond Green does not look like the same Draymond to me. His communication in that losing streak was non-existent compared to what he normally is. And he's the guy, he's the anchor, he's the linebacker, he's the guy, the safety, whatever you want to call it. He's the guy at the back end of the defense, rotating, calling out everything. He has not had the same impact that he's had in previous years for me. And if he's not showing that impact defensively, he is not that great. And that's what I think is that those two are old and aging. The second best player is clearly Wiggins. And then Jordan Poole needs to get it together. But I think Kerr's got to find a way to mix up the lineups a little bit better between youth and experience. But it's not all Wiseman's fault. It's not all the bench's fault because the starters have a great net rating. Steph Curry bails out that net rating a lot because he's Steph Curry and he gets off to these amazing starts because he's just Splash Mountain. Like he's Steph fucking Curry and he's playing with guys that he knows. But you take Steph Curry out of that lineup, that net rating is going to plummet. I can promise you.
What do you think about Poole shooting 15 points a game, 40% from three-pointer and 30% from three? And something that really, really stands out to me, he went from a 92% free throw shooter to an 80% free throw shooter, and like 44% field goal percentage last year, 45 really, and it drops to 40 now, 36% now it's at 30. Is it just the schemes, or was it not just the punch? Because the punch is going to stand out to everyone.
We should talk about that though, man. It's clearly this. And
to add on to the punch, Pat Riley always spoke about how hard it was to win back-to-back championships, and then to win 3 in a row is a different phenomenon, which he never did in the 80s. If I'm not mistaken, the rumor was he patented the term three-peat, but this is the second season he would have won a back-to-back. Now you got to add Wiseman in there, who hasn't really played his whole career, really, right?
Yeah, and then you got Moody, who wasn't really a part of the rotation like that last year, and he's out there playing 17 minutes a game.
And I think it gives credence to someone like Poole. I think Poole comes off like a guy who's kind of cocky to me, to be honest.
Oh, for sure.
Now that I'm seeing this, a guy like that, he's feeling himself. He's getting the contract. Okay, I think Draymond punching him, there's a lot to it. And I think that we've heard the rumors about this guy thought he was hot stuff or whatever. And Draymond just kind of spoke to that and didn't really finish his thought because he didn't want to seem like or appear like he was trying to give a full apology. It was a bad apology, I still think, but he hinted towards this. And Poole does come off like that. And to play this way, you know, is it just the overall team playing this badly and he's just not putting up numbers, or is he a part of their winning ways?
He had some. Well, the thing about Jordan is, I think he had some good games that I watched where he was kind of carrying their offense for stretches. But I think he's been put out there with certain lineups with a bunch of younger players where he has to create all the shots, and it's been a little uncomfortable for him. Whereas, remember, before Clay came back, he started a lot of games last year too, and got off to a good start with those starters. And it's just been tougher for him so far this year. I still think the Warriors are going to come back to being great. They're 4-7 right now, and they just won their last game. They're 3-7. Curry's been great. He's averaging 32.6 points per game, so he's still as good as ever. Looney still looks good to me, but that second unit, they got to get it sorted out. And DiVincenzo will help, but they got to find a better blend in lineups to me. But if Draymond Green and Klay Thompson look like this, they're not going to win the championship. It's simple. The dynasty's over. They're not going to win it with them playing like this. And if you think that, you know, if you want the young guys, the Pools, the Moody's, the Wiseman, the Kumingas to carry it and extend it, you're going to have to let them work through their mistakes. I just think you have to put out lineups where they're just not all making mistakes together and they're just blowing the lead that the starters end up getting for them, because it's still one of the best starting lineups in basketball. It still will be with Steph Curry out there, with Wiggins, with Looney. And then even if those two guys have declined, they still know what they're doing with those players. But it's just, to me, that's papering over the cracks. If you think that, first of all, a starting lineup can't just play every second together. Like, you're going to have mix and match, and you're going to have to sustain it. And you're blaming a guy in James Wiseman that gets how many minutes a game? 14 is ridiculous. Like, you know what I'm saying? Just blaming it all on him, that's nonsense. It's, again, looking for a scapegoat because you don't want to address certain things about the big-time names. Anything else?
Which big-time name? Draymond?
And Clay.
Well, I think they're
And I'm gonna be real. In the games I watched in the beginning of that losing streak, Steph Curry's defense was not the same as last year. And also he did not close well against the Hornets. He got scored on, came out and I think he didn't even get a shot off, or he got a terrible shot off against Dennis Smith, and then they scored on him again. So I think there were some bad moments for Curry in that losing streak as well. But again, they're champions. They're gonna get every team's best shot. They should know that by now. And I think they'll still be okay. My number one seed picks though, Clippers and Philly. Philly especially is looking like shit that I picked them for number one. It's looking like Milwaukee and Phoenix again, but we'll see. It's early. Any last words before we sign off? It's been way longer than I expected. We just can't find a way to keep it short, huh?
No, we can't do that. I was shocked by my number one shock with the Jazz and the Jazz being this good. And really, the Bucks being 9-0 was shocking to me too, no matter what. And you know, I'm just hopefully I'm just kind of like trying to find a new kind of liquor to deal with these Knicks losses. I think I have to adjust my expectations. I think I have. I don't want to buy into them at all whatsoever. If any of you guys have any tips from any other loser fan bases to help me out, shout out Favorite Perspective, my channel on YouTube, Twitter, same thing, Instagram, TikTok, all of that. Hit me up. Explain to me how to deal with these loser ways.
Yeah, we'll have Fabian's information in the description. Make sure you guys comment for the algorithms, guys. After this video is over, comment on the video for the algorithms. Yes, we did talk about Memphis KP. I'm going to have timestamps for all the teams we talked about so you guys can skip to whatever team you want to listen to. Thanks for everybody that joined. And I really appreciate you guys. This start to the season has been a lot better in terms of views for Dime Dropper, and probably because the Clippers are contending again. Keep it up, please. And please don't leave me, because I'm not going anywhere. But the basketball content on Dime Dropper is going to come to a little bit of a hiatus because it's the greatest event in sports. We are going to be doing previews for each group featuring somebody who has a little knowledge of that, one of the major teams, or somebody that's from that country. And of course, we're going to be in Qatar with the vlogs on week 1 and giving you content on the World Cup throughout. It's going to be electric. You already know where to follow me at Dime Dropper Pod, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok. And of course, subscribe on YouTube, Dime Dropper. Everybody have a good night. Peace.
Shout out KP. Thanks for the love, bro.
Yes, sir. And Phoenix plays Z and Cal's takes as always. Yes, sir.